Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Golden Goal Fantasy Football Podcasts. Back to our roots with this one. We're going over our FanTeam teams, the fixtures, and answering some of your questions. And as always, I'm joined by Sam. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, mate. What about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Had a pretty decent week fantasy-wise, which you'll see in my teams. Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. And Man United won yesterday, so even better.
Good man.
We'll get right into it. So I'll crack what we're looking at right now is my season-long game team. So both Sam and I are playing the season-long Premier League game and the half-season team. But yeah, like I said, this is my full season-long team on the screen at the moment. I played my wild card last week, if you didn't watch the podcast. So this is my wild card, my wild card team. So I've got David De Gea in goal. Yeah, I picked him purely because of the double game week this week. Very happy. Got one clean sheet and loads of saves. So yeah, scored me 11 points, which is I don't know if how he competes with the rest of the goalkeepers, but going into the week, 11 points, you take that all day long. I had Trent, Webster, and Semedo. Only reason I had Webster and Semedo come in is Cancelo and Laporte both didn't play, but it was a bit of a gift really because Webster scored a goal, kept a clean sheet. And Semedo kept a clean sheet as well, and so did Trent. So yeah, very happy with those defender scores. And Webster, yeah, I said about him when I played my wild card. I was in a situation where I only had 4.5 million in the bank. I just filtered all the defenders that are 4.5 million, and he was absolute standout. And yeah, thankfully he came up with a goal, so really happy with that. Yeah, can't say I predicted him to score, but yeah, I'll take the luck when it comes. And yeah, Semedo's just a solid pick from that Wolves defence, isn't he? Yeah, I'll take clean sheet all day long there. And then I've picked a really strong midfield. So I got Son, Salah, Jota, Fernandes and Bowen. And yeah, I had Bruno as my captain. So that late goal against Brighton pretty much saving my game week, really. Not much to say for Son, Salah and Jota, but you know, they're three of the best midfielders still in the game, in my opinion. So I'm happy to stick with them, even though they didn't score many points. And then, yeah, the fantasy legend of the 21-22 season, Jared Bowen, scored again. Well, I'd say I should have captained him. Obviously, Bruno had the double, so I didn't need to. But, yeah, Bowen, he's up there with Salah at the moment, isn't he, in terms of performances and potential to captain. And then, well, front lines where it gets a bit boring, really. I think it's the same for everyone. I had Antonio and Dennis. Well, I don't think there's any other than Broja, maybe. Any strikers that are doing the business at the moment. So, yeah, not much from Antonio and Dennis. And that's my team, really.
Nice, Tom. Did you have a bit of a rank rise with that then?
Yeah, I think I went up a couple hundred places. At the start of the week, I was 2,100th. 3,100th. And now I've dropped into the top 3K. I'm about 2,900th now, I think. So, yeah, a few
I think it's
places.
very condensed, isn't it, up there?
I think there's like 5 points between 1,000 people at the moment. That's how close it is. It
Is
really
it?
is.
Yeah,
It
I
really
thought
is
so.
ridiculous. I think Luke in our chat was saying he was 6 points behind me and 600 places below me. So yeah,
Yeah,
nuts.
it's tight, isn't it? Which is a good motivation not to get too disheartened if things aren't going your way, I think.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Have a look at your team.
Yeah, put it up, mate. So, yeah, when I came up with my wildcard side, I probably didn't envision. I knew that Arsenal would have the blank that week, but maybe I thought that kind of Laporte and Cancelo were a bit more nailed than they were. So unlike you,
Oh,
where
sorry,
you got
mate.
a
I've
you pulled up
accidentally
my
copied in my own team instead of yours. So if you keep chatting, I'll flash it up for people in a second.
yeah, I'll go over the team anyway in a second. So yeah, where you sort of lucked in with a decent bench of people playing, I didn't have anyone other than Dennis on the bench. So basically, I missed. I got the points of 10 players, which is a bit frustrating. Like I said, if I'd have potentially thought that City were a little bit more rotation, I didn't expect Laporte and Cancelo to both be on the bench, but yeah, that kind of kicked me in the ass a little bit. Yeah, happy with De Gea. Yeah, Trent solid, clean sheet. Diaz. Diaz, yeah, what did he get? An assist?
Yeah, he got an assist in that game. Sorry, I don't have your team on the screen because I forgot to copy it in. But
Yes,
yeah,
no, sorry.
carry
The
on.
side is anyone listening. De Gea, in the sticks, up three at the back because I essentially had 10 players. So Trent, Laporte, and Diaz. Um, but obviously Laporte didn't play, so essentially two playing defenders that I got points from. Diaz clean and an assist, which kind of with a fairly low ownership kind of rescued me a little bit. I stuck the armband on Salah, didn't expect him to go off, but I thought he would, be involved in a goal in some
It's
format,
just
and
unlucky
obviously
that, mate.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and I probably should have done the Bruno move, but I wanted to leave myself two free transfers for the up and coming week. So yeah, I had Salah, Jota, Bowen, Coutinho. Jota was really frustrating, like because he was due to start, wasn't he? Then Klopp said, so he came out and said he was due to start, had a dead leg, didn't train the day before, started Mane, but actually Jota looked good enough to start. It's like, oh, if Jota had started, you don't know what would have happened. Coutinho unlucky not to get a return, but happy with him. Sorry, long term, and he's low owned. Like you said, Bowen, you just stick the armband on Bowen every week. You come away with double digit returns as Bowen is capped. And then yeah, I thought, see Harry Kane, like it's a bit of a struggle at the moment, isn't it, for strikers? And obviously with FanTeam, you're sort of locked into three, or they don't have to play three. You're locked into having three. I don't want any really. I'll have Brozier. Maybe I'll have one. I thought Edouard would be a good pick, based off his previous stats before I wildcarded, but he just hasn't. He obviously didn't start the first game and then started the second or whatever. But yeah, no real points return for him. So he's on the blocks for a chop to Brozier, who I was going to go with, but like you, Tom, it was that kind of whole injury thing. So yeah, barely any return or no returns from that front three of Kane, Dennis, or Edouard. And moving forward, I'm like kind of as we'll discuss in a minute, kind of really undecided what to do in terms of the doubles and actually thinking about benching some of the doubles players because they're that poor. I don't even want to play them for doubles. I can't see Dennis. They're not scoring any goals, are they? Under Roy, what am I going to get from Dennis over 2 games? Like 4 points, 5 points. So, like, is it really worth having him for the double? Anyway, yeah, so that's where I was at. I did have a slight rank drop. I've had pretty much a demise since Christmas. So I'm about three something thousand. So not really very good. But what you've just said, Tom, with the whole 5 points thing,
Oh,
you have
it's
a good
just
week
so
and
close. Yeah.
you're up a thousand places or whatever. So still engaged to try and push forward. And I think this week I'm in a good position to make moves and get my team set up even further for the double here. So yeah, I'm hoping for a good game week.
All right, then, let's quickly move on to our second chance teams. Yeah, sorry, folks. I accidentally copied in my own team then instead of Sam, so you couldn't look at a team then, but hopefully, yeah, Sam did a good job of describing that for you anyway. So, in second chance game for me, now obviously Bruno was the popular captain pick across the game, but I actually just didn't bother buying him this week because, I thought I'd be a bit different than my full season team, and yeah, I think like most people, I hadn't been too impressed with Man United. So I captained David De Gea, and yeah, he scored 22.6 points, which I think is only like 1 or 2 less than Bruno. So I can't complain at that, really. Like I said, he kept a clean sheet in one game, and he pretty much gets a saves point every game, doesn't he? And then, yeah, my back two of Cancelo and Laporte turned into Zinchenko and Diaz just because of the great auto sub rule you've got in this game. So I'm really happy with my defence. I had 4 players in defence and each of them kept a clean sheet. So yeah, very happy with that. And Diaz got a cheeky assist as well. Then we had Salah, Foden. I actually had Fabinho come in for Jota. Obviously, I think most of the game had him right because of how well owned Jota is. And then Bowen and Rafinha, who I'm a little bit sceptical about. Yeah, Salah. Well, I don't think he could have done really well in that game if we wanted him to. But yeah, just unfortunate blank. Foden scored a goal, so really happy with that. I'm really content with picking Foden. And the beauty of this game is that you can pick him and you guarantee yourself a Man City midfielder as well. So even if he doesn't play, you get someone good coming in. So yeah, really content with Foden. Like I said, Fabinho came in for Jota, and thankfully he scored a goal. When I thought when I heard the goal went in for Burnley, I was really disappointed because I didn't think it would score me any points. But yeah, thankfully in this game I got something for that. Bowen, like you said, almost captain material every week, isn't he? How well he's performing. And then Rafinha, I think I'll keep him just because of the pedigree he's got. He's the talisman for Leeds. But yeah, a bit sceptical about Bielsa's comments about him coming off at half-time for tactical reasons. And yeah, Josh King up top. I think other than Broja, I think you said that on when you looked at your team, there isn't really a striker that I want. So I'm playing 4-5-1 for that exact reason. I'll probably just keep King because he's got a double game week, hasn't he? So might as well just keep him. That's about it for my team.
You're desperate for those sort of 2.5 points per game from King coming up, aren't you, Tom?
Yeah, it's going to be a 5-point double game.
You can tell I'm annoyed with Wolves and just general striking options in general. But yeah, it seems like a good week there for you, mate. Nice captaincy pick in De Gea. That's a nice return.
Yeah, I'll take it. I know he's really well owned, but it saved me a transfer on Bruno. So yeah, quite happy with that. And I've actually I was a bit scared of price changes, so I've actually made my transfer already because I had just enough in the bank to do it, and I went De Gea to Pope, and we'll see on the fixtures quite why I did that. But yeah, I've gone for Nick Pope instead of De Gea, and I think that will work out quite well for me.
Yeah, nice, mate. I think that's a sensible move for what's coming up. And with the benefit of the saves points from FanTeam, I think that's a nice move. I'm thinking similar.
Yeah, got your team up now, mate. So feel free to go through it.
Yeah, so happy with De Gea in goal with 11.3 return for me. Like you said, 47% owned. So nice little return. I also had Laporte and Cancelo, but yeah, said the auto sub Zinchenko and Diaz in, same like you. So nice return from my back three with Trent there as well. Again, the only real letdown for me there was with the armband. Just with Salah, it is what it is. Fabinho in for Jota. Bowen just returning really well again. Rafinha is definitely on the Rafinha and Mora on the cards. Like I said, I went with Mora for that. He had that little mini purple patch, didn't he? Now he's still absolutely got an assist last week, didn't he? But yeah, with the amount of good midfielders there are, I will definitely be wanting to upgrade him. I brought in Weghorst for the kind of amount of volume of games and with lack of strikers. Yeah, the amount of lack of decent strikers, and actually he looked pretty good. He gave Liverpool defenders a good old game until he got injured, and a little bit of better finishing, and he would have had maybe some returns there. And then yeah, Josh King, I'll leave him for this week because he's got the double. Weghorst, typical Sean Dyche, touch and go. He used, didn't he? He loves that phrase. Or wait and see. That's it, isn't it? Wait and see. So really in the dark about that. But was he holding his hammy? Is that what he came off holding?
I think I heard it was a hamstring injury. Yeah. So
having working in that industry of sports performance and injuries, you do something to your hammy, it's like one of those sort of annoying niggly injuries that.
Well, usually about 4 weeks you're out for, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, but just how reoccurring they can be once you've had it, and so my thoughts: will he be returning? Again, depends on the grade or the level of the injury, but yeah, I think it looks fantastic for the up and coming weeks. But as Daishi says, we should wait and see.
Yeah, any thoughts with transfers? You mentioned Nick Pope there. How many you got in the bank first of all? Because of the way this team works, you might have banked up a few, or you've been using one a week quite steadily.
I think I've got 2. I'll just have a quick look now, actually. I haven't actually overly looked at that side, but then again, I've been looking at the season-long one, so it still applies, doesn't it? 2 seconds, mate. How many have I got on here? Let's have a look. No, I've got the 1 transfer, so yeah, Nick Pope's obviously an option, but if I can get someone in maybe in that midfield that's got a double, Mora's got the double as well, hasn't he? And so is Rafinha. So I'm sort of looking at that there thinking, well, I may as well leave that for this week. The other option is like you said, Nick Pope for volume of games. I know that's what you've been talking about, haven't you? I think I'd like Ramsdale, but with with Arsenal, they're blank again, don't they? The week
Yeah.
after.
And in this game, I don't think you want a player that blanks. I think you're
No.
right picking a rotation risk player, but a player that blanks, you want a player that's team is playing, don't you?
Yes. In this second chance game, yeah, because it's 11 players, right? And
Yeah,
so
and you don't have a
not going
bench,
to get any
exactly.
auto
Yeah,
sub to another team. So leading that on for this one in particular, it leads me towards potentially sort of Nick Pope there, or if I get any more news on Veghorst or something like that, then it might involve something there. But I think Nick Pope with the sort of saves points is the obvious choice there, and then yeah, rocking out this team with Salah as my cap.
yeah. Well, I didn't even talk about my captain because it just goes without saying for this week, doesn't it? With Norwich and Leeds as the two fixtures, I don't think anyone should look past Salah as captain really.
Yeah, and going to my I don't know what's you thinking on your. Did you say you made your move in your season long game already, Tom?
No, I haven't done that yet. I'll just flash back to that actually because that's probably worth talking about. Because you mentioned you've got Harry Kane and you're not particularly happy with him. I've got 2 free transfers in this game now that I've saved up. I was actually
Yep, so have
thinking of
I.
taking a -4 and doing 3 moves. So I was thinking of doing Antonio and Fernandez to Kane and, well, there's quite a lot of options for 7.5 in midfield. But I was thinking of doing Kane and Ward-Prowse. Just for how much of a FanTeam legend Ward-Prowse is, you'd be quite happy to leave him in for the season, but still to decide really who I pick from midfield. But I definitely want a piece of Harry Kane. I think I know it sounds really weird, right? But people are doubting Spurs and saying they're not looking particularly good. But Harry Kane has still been taking quite a lot of shots. I think his shot volume is still one
Yeah,
of
he
the
has.
highest in the league, and he's just not been taking his chances. So I think I'm willing for a double game week. I think I'm willing to take the risk in bringing in Harry Kane, and then I think I'll do the same if I downgrade Antonio to Ward-Prowse. Gives me enough in the bank to upgrade De Gea to Pope. So yeah, Pope, Ward-Prowse, and Kane in is what I'm thinking of at the moment with my season long.
Yeah, so I've got 2 as well. So at the moment I've gone Ben Foster in goal off the bench
Hmm.
for Palace and Villa. And then I'm set up with Alexander Arnold, Laporte, Cancelo, Tierney, and Diaz at the back. I am open to potentially taking out one of the Man City assets now with the Champions League and things like that. Um, Personally, it will be Laporte, so Laporte could come out. The thing is, the issue I've got is I love another Arsenal defender, and I think they've got a great run. But the week after, Arsenal blank, don't they? And Liverpool blank, and I've obviously got
Yeah, so
triple
you'll
Liverpool.
end up with like 9 players if you do that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I don't exactly, so I don't want that. Well, as we can come to in a minute. So Salah, Jota, Bowen, Coutinho, and then Kane up top. But I've actually got Dennis and Edouard on the bench, who have both got doubles. But
Yeah.
I don't really want to drop Coutinho out v Watford. I think I look at it and think, what could Coutinho outscore Dennis and Edouard in the one game? I think it's almost yes, yes, he could. Kane, the reason I'm going with Kane is he's an expensive asset and he could score against City and certainly against Burnley. You're absolutely right. He's had some shot volume there, so a goal is coming for Kane. So I'm happy to stick with him. Um, so it's do I take out a Man City defender for a Wolves defender, maybe something like that, who continue to play.
Yeah, I really like that. And yeah, rather than your team, I've got the fixtures up. And whilst that blank game week 30 is still to be confirmed, Wolves are one of the few teams that definitely play that week as well. So you guarantee yourself a player for 30 if you pick a Wolves asset. So I really like that. Really like that idea.
Yeah, and it's taken out one of the Man City boys, but and again I went triple on them, didn't I? I'm a wild card, so you could say slight error there with that as well. If you're looking back at both of our wild cards and the way that last week went, obviously first week I get triple clean sheet from Laporte, Cancelo, Diaz. It's all hunky dory, and then as soon as the Champions League starts, that little bit of rotation, and Pep might have just done that one game, boom, they all come back in again. But that's the question there. So it leaves me. Is that 2 players currently? No, 5 players currently that are single games as it stands. So the triple City, Bowen and Coutinho. So potentially drop down one of the City boys for a doubler. Yeah, I'm just not sold on starting Dennis or Edouard. Obviously, Palace have got Chelsea and Watford. Watford's obviously a nice fixture, so I'll have a little think there. And then Watford have got Palace and Villa as well. I definitely won't be starting Dennis, I don't think. Uh, how many times
I
have you been
think I will
burned?
be, but yeah, you're absolutely right. How many times have we been burnt by him? I think I will start him just because he's got a double game week, but yeah, reluctantly, like you said. And unfortunately, just the way the game's working and how my transfers are, annoyingly, I think Dennis will just stay in my team for quite a while just because he's so cheap. But yeah, if I could, I'd just have bigger fires to fight, like I do most of the time, to be honest.
Well, we need to think about that Liverpool and Arsenal blank in 27 if you've got the triple Liverpool and who you're going to have that not only plays two on 26 but then doesn't blank and has a nice fixture on 27. I like your thinking on Ward-Prowse there. Like, do they play 30 as well? Southampton, are they up for the chop?
So looking at the Krellin fixture table, so it's down as a possible blank. Most of the games are a likely blank, but Burnley Southampton is down as a possible. So I'm seeing that as maybe a 50-50 whether it happens or not. So it's less risky than players that are, down as a blank, but still likely to blank by the looks of it.
So yeah, that's what I'm leaning towards. Maybe a David De Gea out for Nick Pope.
Hmm.
So I've got two rotating keepers then, Pope and Foster. Yeah, that's right. Could probably start Pope, wouldn't I, versus Tottenham and Brighton. Start Pope, and then yeah, whip out one of the strikers for someone else as well. Sort of thinking Dennis or Edouard to Brozier as well. But then I don't think that's an immediate fire. I think probably immediate fire is one of the Man City boys to like a Wolves asset, and then I get the double, and then obviously Wolves playing 27 as well, and I can replace the Wolves player with Alexander Arnold, and then I've actually got um, Edouard and Dennis that could start in 27 as well for Jota and Salah. So yeah, there's the option then to play the three up front, although none of them are very good.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Real struggle in it. The problem with FanTeam at the moment is the strikers, lots of midfield options, lots of defensive options, and then having to have three forwards that you actually have to have in your team. I like what you've done. You've sort of gone with that cheap Leeds
Yeah,
lad,
I
but
just
even
went
then, money
Gelhardt.
doesn't.
Yeah.
Money's not a problem in even in my side. I've got I'm happy with the. I've got basically five premium assets at the back, so money isn't a problem. I've got everyone I want. It's just that I don't want any strikers or one striker maybe. So that's the problem moving forward. And with triple Liverpool and Tierney, I've had Martinelli on the bench. He obviously misses one game, so I probably won't play him. But with the Arsenal blank again, it's just sort of making sure that I pick players that are going to play double 26 and that I potentially want to start. Um, and then don't miss 27. But then obviously we've got to look ahead to the potential of the blanks in the 30 as well.
Yeah, so I don't have much more to add really. I mean, yeah, from my perspective, I think I'm pretty well set up for the double already. And like I said, with my transfers, I'm bringing in two players that double and then maybe a Ward-Prowse. But I'm kind of thinking that I should probably pick someone that's a bit more likely to play, and well, certainly that doesn't blank in 30. So rather than Ward-Prowse, I could go for Coutinho maybe. That's another option.
Yeah.
I know in my opinion, I prefer Ward-Prowse in FanTeam just because of how much of a 90-minute legend he is. But yeah, I'm feeling Coutinho just because those fixtures are pretty good, to be fair. I know they got Watford, Brighton, Southampton, West Ham, Arsenal, and Wolves. Yeah.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is a good little fixture run.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking that's why yeah, I think Coutinho actually rather than Ward-Prowse. Just reviewing those fixtures again is probably a shout.
He's just got that little bit more of a higher ceiling, isn't he, Coutinho? He's that
Definitely, yeah.
midfield maestro. Super talented player. Can score, assist, shots, 90 minutes, what just he does tick that box, and he's a nice price, and he's low owned at the moment as well. So I think you've got good rationale there, mate.
So I think that's me sorted then. So for me, I'll go David De Gea to Pope. It's Pope or Jose Sa for me. I'm just looking at those fixtures now. I know Pope has got 2 doubles in a row, but obviously that Wolves defence is fantastic. Sar's been a really good asset, and yeah, he's got 1 less fixture over the short term than Pope, but he definitely doesn't blank in 30, whereas Pope might still blank. So there's a choice.
Yeah.
But I think I'll leave that right to the deadline, to be honest, whether I pick Pope or Sa. But yeah, Coutinho and Kane for Fernandes and Antonio will be my definite 2 transfers. And then yeah, I want to swap my goalkeeper, but not sure between Pope and Sa yet. I think that's.
Do you not fancy Fernandes versus Leeds for another little punt for this next week? Been a midfield option as well.
Yeah, potentially, but I don't know. I think Kane with the 2 fixtures, and then Kane's got Leeds the week after as well.
Yeah. So you jump on Kane now to gain the extra fixture, and then the Leeds fixture the week after.
So when we talk about their fixtures, I mean, it's very short-term thinking. Obviously, Man City, you take what you can get against them. Burnley, obviously Pope is. We talked about Pope being a good pick, but only really because he makes loads of saves. Burnley aren't, getting that many clean sheets. You'd fancy Spurs to score against Burnley. Then they got Leeds and Everton, and I'd say Everton are up there with worst defences in the league. Even though they got Lampard seems to have come in, he's not really changed much. Just trying to find those fixtures again. Yeah, and then Leeds as well as another fixture. So yeah, I just like Kane, and I've had enough of Man United, to be honest. I think we got quite lucky with the Bruno goal yesterday. I don't think he's looked all that great, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's fair rationale, mate.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to point about those fixtures?
No, well, I think the question that's in will lead us nicely in. I don't know if that was next, but
No, it's fine.
kind of lead us into a little bit more about the fixtures and potential strategies of what to do from sort of game week 30 or in and around that onwards, really. So it's probably a good.
We can chew the fat about that question. So thank you, SkyFF Bruno, for your question. He asks us strategies for season long and the second half game with the blanks. So I'll just flash the fixtures back up. So I think we were saying before we actually started to hit record, if you've got your wild card still, I think game week 31 is looking absolutely plumb to play that wild card, isn't it? And then just slowly, gradually moving your team to be prepared for that blank game week. So you get 11 players that play in 30 and then wild carding in 31. I think if you've got that wild card in your bank, that's exactly what you should do, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at, weren't we? Sort of waiting for further news on that 30, but navigating the double this week. I don't think there's any issue with having. I mean, if you've got 9 players that, like I think Josh said last week, you've got 9 doublers this week, then that's fantastic. I think you could have less, and I think you could have up to about 7 doublers. You want a Man City asset probably in there, at least one, I'd imagine, Cancelo. Bowen as well, I think he's sort of another shoehorn in. So sort of navigate, said with your transfers or whatever or hits for the double, keeping in mind the Arsenal and Liverpool blank next week, and then like you said, the potential kind of potential blankers on that game week 30, although it's a few weeks away, we don't quite know exactly. And then, looking to potentially wildcard from that 31 or build towards aside from 31. I've got the Fantasy Football Hub fixture ticker up here from 30 onwards, the end of the season. Leicester, Chelsea, Spurs, City come out as the top 4 with the best fixtures. Leicester, Brentford, United, Palace, Newcastle, Villa, Tottenham, Everton, Watford, Southampton. Defensively, I probably wouldn't be looking at them at the moment, but Maddison, Tielemans, Vardy, Daka, Harvey Barnes, they're all options there. Chelsea, you could probably pack that with Chelsea defenders, Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Reece James, Mendy there, Mason Mount in the midfield, Ziyech in the midfield, depending how risky you feel. And then obviously Spurs, you can have the Son and Kane double up in there as well if you fancied that. And then City, depending on the status of the Premier League, I feel like if Liverpool drop any points between now, so game week, what, 20, was it 27 coming up, 26?
Yeah,
Yeah,
26 coming up.
and
Yeah.
then that's the title wrapped up. Like, obviously we're 9 points or whatever. Liverpool are 9 points behind or whatever it is. And with a couple of, is it 12 with a couple of games in hand? Yeah, that's right, isn't it? Or nine now with we played one of the games in hand. So there's one more game in hand for Liverpool. So that'd be 6 points. So if Liverpool drop any points, then I feel like you might want to rethink potential City assets for that final eight game run. But I'd certainly be keen on a double up there. It's a shame you don't get any auto subs in it, Tom, on the season long game because you could
No,
be
I
way
love
more.
that option. Yeah.
You could be, yeah, you could. I'll have triple City because you know you're going to get a stack down of them. But yeah, like we've just said, build towards Leicester, Chelsea, Spurs, City. Kind of Arsenal have got a nice run as well. Villa, Palace, Brighton, Southampton, United, West Ham, Leeds, Newcastle, Everton. That's a really nice 8 game stint finish. So that's what I'd be doing. I don't know about you, Tom. I'd be, if I could wild card, I would be in 31 and just building it towards those fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think I don't have the luxury of the wild card, so I'm just trying to think about what I do. I mean, in that blank game week 30, I think I'd be willing to go into that game week with a minimum, I'd say, of 9 players. I'd want at least 9 to be safe. That I was quite content for that week. Like I said, I'll have Coutinho by that point. I'll probably have bought Ramsdale in goal. Yeah, or I have Sarr. Probably have to buy some Leicester players as well. But like you said, Leicester have got a really good run as well. So yeah, I just look to bring in some Leicester and Arsenal assets if I could. I think you're pretty well set up for that with all your Arsenal cohort. And then obviously Wolves carry on playing as well. We know how good their defence is.
Yeah, I mean, I've got double Arsenal at the moment. I think I'd like to see myself finishing the season probably with triple Arsenal there. So it'd be like probably Ramsdale in goal from that sort of week 30-ish, 31 onwards. Um, if I can get towards that. But yeah, I'd like to have Rudiger and maybe Silva in by that point, in and around that point as well. And like probably a Tielemans in midfield if someone drops off a little bit of form in the current uh, midfield that I've got. So yeah, I've got a rough plan there for sure.
Yeah, nice one. Anything else to say on those fixtures at all? I think that's about all I can talk about really. One thing I will mention is that Ben has also put in the unrescheduled games that needs to be put back in, and we mentioned Leicester as a good option anyway with their run in towards the end of the season, but they're also up there with the team with the most games to be rearranged as well. Still got 3 games to be slotted in somewhere, and those fixtures are Norwich, Chelsea, and Everton. So obviously Chelsea's a pretty tough game, but Norwich and Everton, I mean, they're pretty plumb fixtures. So I think Leicester beyond game week, 29-30, are looking like a really good side to target. Obviously, you wouldn't touch the defence, but yeah, players like Maddison, Tielemans that you mentioned should be solid picks beyond game week 30. You'd like to think.
Yeah, I think Daka, depending on the Jamie Vardy status, but I think he still could be a good option. And Harvey Barnes as well. We know Harvey Barnes can be explosive. He hasn't been fantastic, since was it the start of the season, but I definitely think that he's a good option as well. So yeah, I'll certainly be looking maybe if I can to have a couple of them in midfield for sure.
I'd never wish a player to be injured, right? But it'd be lovely to have an extra striking option in Daka, wouldn't it? Like we said, it's pretty barren in terms of strikers in FanTeam that you want to pick at the moment. Well, FPL FanTeam, they got the same, right? But yeah, there ain't much going on in the striking position. So if we can get another option in there, that'd be great. So yeah, Daka, I completely agree. In fact, well, I don't know if this is controversial anymore, but I think Daka genuinely looks better than Vardy now. I think he's Jamie Vardy version 2, isn't he? Plays exactly the same sort of style, but he's just younger, fresher, fitter, quicker. I think, yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah, like if he's not an option for this season, then he's definitely going to be moving forward, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. All right then, mate. I think that just about wraps it up. Unless there's anything else you wanted to mention on the fixtures, I think we can call it there.
Yeah, no, I'm happy for that, and we'll see how we end up after this next game week, and then yeah, look to see what comes back up in the fixtures, what's cancelled, what's rearranged, all that sort of stuff, and yeah, chew the fat on that next game week.
Lovely job, mate. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you like what you saw. And yeah, we'll catch you next week for some more FanTeam chat. Cheers.
Cheers, Tom. Thanks, everyone.